welcome to the Neighborish livecast. I'm Super Dave, aka Mr. Incredible, and with me, as always, we have our resident feminine energy, the personal trainer and fitness guru, Miss Fruitfit herself, Patrice Jones. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing great, thank you.
And my man, 100 grand, DC's native son, the SC3 representative, Jason. What's up, brother?
Good morning, Dave. How you doing, brother?
All right, good to have both of y'all back with us. We had a guest host last week. It went okay, but it's always good to have my team in the building. And we have an amazing show for you today because our guest today is a performing artist. As a singer-songwriter, her mix of thoughtful, engaging lyrics and warm, soulful vocals make for an amazing listening experience. She is also a writer, producer, actress, activist, educator, and happens to be the daughter of one of the pioneers of celebrities using their voice and their platform to affect social change. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored and humbled to have Ayanna Gregory with us today. Welcome to the Neighborish livecast. How are you?
Thank you. Thanks, y'all. Thanks for having me. It's my pleasure. Yeah. I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful.
Great.
Coming to you live and direct from Negril, Jamaica. It's sunny. Book.
Yeah, we're all coming to you from a place called Jealousy because we wish we were there with you.
I wish y'all was here.
It's gloomy in DC right now. It's been raining all morning. Yeah, just that.
I'm gonna send y'all some of this.
Oh, yeah. Please do.
Please do.
Got you.
Yeah, you can pass it over to us. But there's so much we want to talk to you about, so many dope things that you have done and are doing. And we're going to get into all of that. But first, there's a few things going on in the city, in the country, in the world that we need to talk about.
What's going on, Dave?
And we're going to talk about it right now. So last week, we talked a little bit about the COVID vaccine and more specifically, the apprehension that's been discussed about taking it amongst the American people and even more specifically among the African American community or the Black community, that apprehension and how much more prevalent it is. A couple of months ago, Dr. Fauci did an interview in which he noted things like the Tuskegee experiment and also specific things that have been going on for years, like the disparities between Black people and white people when it comes to the level of care, implicit bias, and even things as small as getting prescriptions, how we're prescribed medicine based on race. And I remember when we had Erin Alexander on, who's a doula who works with pregnant women through the process of their pregnancy, and she was talking about the differences that she noticed just in her field dealing with pregnant women and how they're suggested different treatments or the level of care that they receive based on race. So I wanted to touch a little bit on that and ask you guys your opinions on the vaccine itself. I know you guys have heard some of the news, if not all of it. And how do you feel? Do you feel comfortable with it? With taking it, with seeing it come out and things of that nature. So I'm going to start with the ladies first, because that's how we do here, always showing respect and reverence. So Patrice, how do you feel about this? Why is it like I'm a teacher and you're nervous, like don't call on me teacher? No.
You go to Jay first. So interestingly enough, last night, and I'll just start with this, I was out with a few girlfriends and I had a random conversation with a guy who should remain nameless that worked at NIH and was, involved in some of the testing. And he made an interesting statement. And I was like, it's so crazy how so many people feel like this. He said, well, and I know he came from a biased place, but he said, well, I'm going to wait until I see a few celebrities and, et cetera, take it before I actually take it, like before I feel comfortable. And, I really, we talk about that emotional connection to media and what we see on TV and what's shown to us versus what actually is. And, I think that was all connected. As far as, I don't know if you asked, but if I would take it myself, yeah. I don't want it. there are a few things. So, you know, my son who's 15, his dad and I already discussed that if they make it mandatory for him to take the vaccine before he goes back to school, that we're going to move to homeschooling. I think, and one thing I also wanted to touch on, I hope we can talk about a little bit today, is I know there's an exemption process that you can go through outside of religious reasons, not to get the vaccination, but I don't know exactly what that process is. But yeah, no, I don't want it. I'm hoping that since I'm not in a, you know, in a workplace where I have to get it, you know, like the healthcare workers, and you think about all of those people that it will be mandatory for. So if you're like working in a nursing home or, you know, et cetera, you're going to have to get the vaccine. And I don't know, it honestly is just really, it's bothersome. There's so many layers to it. It's, you know, it's beyond any, for me, it's beyond a virus. It's way beyond a virus. It's, there's a lot going on right now in the universe and amongst us that is way beyond a vaccine. I think the vaccine is just a distraction, but it's an unfortunate one. Yeah. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, real quick, I do want to say I have heard a little bit about that, about the exemption process. The only thing that I've heard for people outside of like the people who will be mandatory healthcare workers and things is that they're looking at like having jobs in schools, say that it won't be to a certain extent mandatory, but if you don't get it, you'll have to show a negative test before you can, you know, return to either school or work. So that's something that they're, you know, tossing around right now. Ayanna, I don't want to put you on the spot, you know, but if you have an opinion about it, I'd love to hear how you feel about all of this stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you know anything about my daddy and the way we were raised, then
Yes.
you're going to get a hell no from me for sure. Without a doubt, without question. I mean, we've been well before the coronavirus was even thought about as a family. You know, my father has done so much research and has been connected to so many cutting edge free thinkers on the planet who were very clear that the vaccination industry is inextricably tied to the eugenics movement, which is really about, you know, wiping out people of color, among other people. And so I have absolutely no intention of taking it. And the other thing is, you know, you hear a lot of folks talking about it's going to get to a point where initially it'll be voluntary and then it'll be forced and then it'll, you know, so all of these steps to it. I don't know how it's going to go down, but I definitely, one of the reasons that I'm not in the country right now is because I think it's important for us as a people to begin to think about other options, about places where we can coexist free and healthy. And so last year at this time, I was in Ghana bringing in the new year. And, you know, so many folks, especially African people around the world, are leaving out of the West and going back home, going to Africa, going to, you know, even places in the Caribbean. So, and not to say that this doesn't touch us in other places, but I think it is important for us to really begin to think about where we want to be. Because I think you know, I've been in DC for over half my life now, and so much is so intense. It's so much going on all the time. There's so much pressure that it can be hard to think, or to not even think, to move with your spirit. And so one of the reasons why I wanted to bring in the new year here is to really not move out of fear, you know, because initially I was like, man, what if this thing comes, if it comes down to it and it really is by force? And then spirit was like, you ain't got to worry about a motherfucking thing. You know what I'm saying? You really don't. Like, it's really, I will not, it's not anything that I will voluntarily take. And I was like, beyond that, I'm not worried about it. I trust the medicine woman inside of me. I trust the universe. I trust the creator in me, that it'll all work itself out. But in terms of what I will go on record to say and in support of, absolutely not in support of the vaccination. And, you know, we have our internal healing mechanisms all day, every day. And that's just what it is, you know?
Yeah, That's dope. Jay said you had a very dope energy about you, and so and I, you know, he's the big homie, so I always appreciate him. But he's very spot on. Like your energy, like even to the extent of what you're saying, just kind of matching with what we were talking about before the show about that, that innate spirit within us of understanding and knowing, and how a lot of people are losing that. And you know, we have to tap into it and understand and listen to it. And so yeah, yeah,
Yes.
that was dope. So I know
Mhm.
Jay's son um will probably have a unique perspective on this just based on some things that have transpired. But well, I always say that, but I don't know. Let me listen to you. So how do you feel about it, Jay? What's your perspective on the vaccine situation and COVID as a whole?
Well, very similar to Ayanna. Um, Despite the specific coronavirus, I'm just not an advocate for vaccinations in general, despite the situation, just based on my principles and ideology and approach to, the tie with vaccinations in the United States and eugenics and the history of, how they're conducted and all of those. That's just not uh, something that I believe. But I'm at a different place in life, man. Whereas though, like, to be honest, man, I don't really give a fuck what people do. I'm really only responsible for myself and my children, and so I don't really have an opinion about what I think people should do. Like,
Right.
nigga,
Yes.
fuck y'all, I don't
That's
give a
right.
fuck. But
That's right. That's
at the
right.
end of the day, like, I'm responsible for myself and my children. And so the ideology in my household is very similar to Bob or Dick Gregory in regards to how I approach raising my children and our ability to heal and our ability to know the powers and the elements within ourselves that can approach any situation that attacks our body. So just with that being said, is why I don't approve of the vaccination process. But if that's what people do, that's what people do, man.
That's right.
I'm at a different level of spirituality and
Mhm.
perception in my life, and it's like worrying about what other people do can be problematic and hindering to the attempt to reach our higher selves and our families. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm with
Yeah,
that.
that's something that I know a lot of people strive for is the ability or the because we all have the ability, but the practice of letting people just for lack of a simpler term, just mind their own business. You know, just letting people
Yeah.
live their
Well,
lives, and
hold
you
on
just
real quick, Dave.
go ahead. Yeah, sure.
I just one point that Ayanna made about DC and traveling to other spaces. Do you feel like there's a certain energy grid on, in the geographical area of Washington, DC?
I do. I do. Absolutely. And I feel like yeah, it's intense, and and the reality is that I love DC. I love, no matter where in the world I go, I love coming back. I do. Um, I find that I can feel, like my dad, he was very connected to his past lifetimes. And so he could be in spaces, even in DC, where he could feel the presence of enslaved Africans
Mhm.
there. And so I think sometimes I feel that, um, and, it's like DC deep, just the fact that just even geographically that it being like a former swamp, you know what I mean? Like it's very intense. And part of that is why I love DC, because there's something so authentic about the energy, something very undeniable. And you can feel the presence of African soul that exists there. And at the
Mhm.
same time, sometimes uh, for me, there are times where it feels like it's a lot. And so when I get away, there are times when I just want to lighten my spirit. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, but I love it. I don't ever want to feel like I'm escaping from what is for me, So part of it is like, man, I was ready to move to Jamaica years ago, but I'm like, I can't leave the movement and the people who I love, who are right there, still pushing through. And so I'm like, okay, I take my time, I spend my time and I come back, you know. But eventually, you know, my family and I talked about like we got to really think about specifically for the children, because what our children are dealing with right now. I have a nephew at 15 years old. He committed suicide a year ago. And when I tell you that nothing has rocked our family like that, nothing. I mean, and we done dealt with some stuff. I mean, we done dealt with phone taps, death threats. You know, my father survived three assassination attempts by the American government. You know, beaten, jailed countless times. So that was all of that. You know, was honestly nothing energetically to what we dealt with when that baby boy took his life. And so I'm recognizing that when you look at our children right now, they are depressed. Many of them are suicidal, and not just the children, but right now when I think about our children, I'm like, look, because my nephew has a twin sister who has to survive that, you know? And so I'm like, look, we ain't got to stay here, you know? So I'm like, I've talked to my brother Johanse, who has 5 children, and I said, look, we really need to start thinking about making some moves, because we ain't about to lose another one, you know? And so, so that's why I'm really like, look, let's think outside of the box. Let's think outside of what we're used to on a daily, because we can get used to the daily routine. And it's like, we ain't got to do that routine. I can do anything I want to do, literally. You know what I'm saying? Like right now. And so, you know, you got folks telling me not to leave. Like, you going to Jamaica in the middle of the pandemic? I was like, yep.
Yeah, that energy is so it's so necessary. I talk about on a regular basis, just trying to get people out of the mindset of what we've seen our parents. You know, you see your parents, you come up watching your parents go to jobs that they typically hate every day, and you feel like you do it out of a sense of responsibility. I got to provide for my family, I got to make a way and things like that. When the truth is, you can find something that you truly love to do. And monetize. You know, we talk often about, it was a quote by Dick Gregory, the secret to happiness.
Dick Clark.
I mean, I'm sorry about this, Dick Clark. Sorry
Don't
about
disrespect
that.
Bob
I'm sorry. That's my fault. It's just because
that's right.
he's being channeled so heavily that his name came out. But it was a quote by Dick Clark, that said, you know, the secret to happiness is finding out what you love to do, finding out how to monetize it, and then finding someone to share it with. And that in itself encompasses the secret to happiness. And, you know, it's wisdom from beyond. But yeah, so getting people out of the mind frame that they have to do anything. Like what you said was so powerful. You can do anything you want to right now. Like, it seems like such a far-fetched notion, right? Like, okay, I can do it, but first I gotta save up, but first I gotta do this and do that. Live your life. Go ahead, Patrice. What were you saying?
That goes to what we kind of touched on before we started about, you know, you said it, you know, going through a metamorphosis right now in this time and space. Like, we have to know our innate power enough to be secure and just sitting still and allowing that process to happen, because the move that we make does not have to be regimented like a routine that somebody told us had to do. We have to listen to our spirits and really dig deep and move how our spirit tells us to move, not how a clock, calendar, or anybody tells us to move. And you know, that's dope.
Speak on that. Hey, what time is it right now, y'all? Something powerful is happening right now.
It's 11:19.
Yo, so 11:14, and we're still in the middle of it. The complete solar eclipse that's happening right now at the max. It's peaking right now, and so I was like, where am I gonna be? Where am I gonna be at the peak of the eclipse? I'm gonna be right here with y'all. It's literally peaking right now. The complete solar eclipse and the new moon in Sagittarius. So much is clearing. Space is clearing as we move into the age of Aquarius. And it's something that my father, I didn't get this line from him, but I feel like it's something I say all the time, and it came from the way he lived, that we are our own walking currency. We are our own walking currency.
Absolutely.
So my brother Johanse, he used to laugh at me. He's like, man, you the brokest world traveler I know. He's like, man, you go more places than anybody else I know, and you got less money than anybody in the family. I'm like, hey, because I show up right? Energetically ready to give and receive, knowing that I don't need a motherfucking dollar
Man,
to,
listen.
because the experience, the money don't mean nothing. And there's going to be a time in the not too distant future, and it's already happening, where education as we know it and money as we know it will literally be rendered obsolete. And you will move on the planet based on what you are actually worth, what you are actually, what your energetic currency and frequency is giving. This is why my daddy, times he had tens of millions in the bank and times he didn't have a dime, but he moved through the earth the same and nobody would have known the difference, because he was clear that he was his own walking currency. You know what I'm saying? And we go back to a time where I have something of value in exchange for something you have of value, and ain't no dead president on a piece of paper that will be even in the mix. You see what I'm saying? And so this solar eclipse and all of these amazing, powerful things that are happening in the cosmos are clearing the space right now for us to just truly exist as we are, as we honestly and truly are. And so I feel that. I mean, I don't even know how I remember last year when I was getting ready to go to Ghana, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to Ghana. I really wasn't working. I wasn't, and I was just like, but I just know I'm going. I didn't have a rent, much less money to get to Ghana, but I knew I was going. And I had a gratitude group, and we were talking. I was like, I'm going to Ghana, and I'm this, that, the other. And I kept giving my art away. I'm like, dang, I'm just giving it away, giving it away, giving it away. Meanwhile, rent not paid, I wasn't worried about it. I said, I am not worrying about money no more. I stopped worrying about money 2 years ago. And so I was like, let's just let this magic work. I'm going to continue to show up. I'm going to continue to give it away. And I remember it was the Appeal organization that was started by Baba Lasana Mack. They were having a fundraiser at the Howard Theater, and so my sister Free and I, we were performing alongside other artists, and so there was another event that I was doing for nonprofit African-centered organization. We were just giving our time, and I'm laughing to myself. I'm like, I don't know how I'm getting to Ghana, but I'm gonna just keep showing up. And we were backstage, and Free was like, she had an envelope in her hand. She said, say thank you in advance. I said, what? She said, just say thank you. I said, thank you. She gave me this envelope. Inside the envelope was a check for $2,500. I was like, what's this for, right? And she said, this is a deposit check for one of the gigs that you're going to do for Black History Month. I wasn't even thinking about it. I didn't even know it was happening. And so I was like, oh, here go Ghana right here, right? Just take care of the ticket, take care of it. And even when I went to Ghana in December, I really didn't have that much money with me because, again, my nephew had just passed. I was zoned out. I wasn't working. I wasn't thinking about doing anything to generate income. I just knew, look, I'm healing right now, right? And so when I got to Ghana, little did I know, a friend of mine had already sent money ahead to take care of everything that I needed. I had no clue. And in the past, I never would have gone out of the country that far with so little money on me. But something was just like, I ain't worried about all that. You get there. You get there and let everything work itself out. And so now, even being here, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be here till the new year. The universe deals with the how. That's my pay grade. I ain't dealing with the how. I deal with the yes and thank you, and I'm grateful. And beyond that, it's a beautiful place to be when you really recognize that is literally how the universe works. It ain't no sometimes, it ain't no kind of, it's what it is. And it will show up to the extent that you believe. And so I'm like, well, shit, I'm ready for the next level, Mama, Baba. And Daddy, I talk to Daddy all the time. He's always downloading. I'm always in communication with him, and so I'm also grateful for that. But
my goodness, I just I said Patrice was over there having church while you was talking. I heard her. She has a tendency of ad-libbing people's verses. I say
I love it. I love it.
I was over here.
She be on her Busta Rhymes.
So they already know, but you don't, sister. But I haven't had. I trained full time. I haven't had full-time income in going on 9 months now.
Wow.
I mean, none. No government assistance, no food stamps, no nothing. And
Nothing.
oh my God, this is so powerful. I've never heard anyone say that, what you just said about currency, about it not having value. It is an illusion. And I tell my son this all the time. Money and
Yes,
its
ma'am.
value is an illusion. And
Yes,
if you
ma'am.
don't see it as that, then you move differently and you know your power. And I always tell people, like, even if I got $5, I leave out the house like I got 5 billion, because I know that the universe is going to provide everything that I need. Now,
Yes,
that's not to
ma'am.
say sometimes I'm like, Lord, I don't know what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
have a
For
little,
sure. For
but
sure.
right now, I'm like in a space. I'm like, you know what? I just told him everything is aligning. I know that I might not have had any income coming in a sense of income in a capitalistic society sense, but I have a wealth of income coming in from the universe and the people around me that are aligned to be there. I
Yes.
love that. I love what you
Yes.
said. You said, I'm gonna make it here. I'm gonna stay here. You all you have to do is say that. You manifest it. It's going to happen, and believe in that, and not what's on a green piece of paper. That means
It's
absolutely
true.
nothing.
It's
All
the truth.
right,
It's the
I'm done,
truth.
Dave. I've spoken.
It's the truth.
Nah,
Amen.
nah, it's a blessing. Like those words are definitely, definitely. And thank you so much for your words. I want to talk a little bit about. He stepped out of the room, but I want to talk a little bit about Jay. Something that you touched on, Ayanna, about the young people dealing with the way the world is right now, and the struggles that they go through. I don't really talk too much about news stories. I kind of leave that to the news. We talk more about trending topics. But there was something recently. I know you all heard about the little 1-year-old boy that was killed on Southern Avenue. In the car with his father, and then there was a 2-year-old, I think it was in PG County, that was shot in the leg recently. I think right after that, and just the
Mm.
the abundance of violence and hate that's been pointed toward our young people recently. And so I just wanted to take this opportunity in that spirit to talk a little bit about people like our own Jason and
Yes.
others like people like in this area like Mo Better and a couple of other people who really put focus and time into the young people, and how important it is to
Yes.
have groups like Cedar United that Jason is a part of, that are they're taking the time to instill in these children, taking the time to invest, excuse me, in these children's future, and invest in them by pouring into them as young people, because young people who are confused and who have that lack of respect for life and what it is and the currency that we hold turn into adults who have that. So catching them when they're young and instilling in them, just the power that they wield is such a powerful thing, Jay. Um, I know I haven't heard too much about Cedar United recently. Have you guys been working on anything?
Yeah, I mean, we all the time, because we just had to help provide like a memorial for another young brother, 15
Mm.
years old, that
Mm,
just, his mom contacted us just in regards to helping like organize a memorial for him. So I mean, we always working, man. So
I know.
don't. I mean, we got it. We established a nonprofit so that we could get funding. But we was doing this out of our pocket.
That's
I've
right.
been doing all, basically my whole life, which is why,
Yep.
a lot of people
mhm.
came to me in regards to providing some structure to it. And shout out to Trayon White, our council member, for supporting us and putting us in rooms and meetings and positions where we could, actually. Well, I mean, it's interesting, Dave. Like the whole thing you just spoke of, like the violence with the youth and all of that, man. It's just, we well, I ain't gonna say we all, but collectively, uh, we aren't aware of the war against us in our communities. And so I don't even think it's the young people, like, oh, the young people, this young people. It's like, nah, man. It's like, one of the biggest problems with our inability to organize and mobilize our communities is the school. Like they the problem. And it is these institutions that we lean towards for help and support, which are the problem, and it's hard to convey that. And so in the vein of like the Frederick Douglass quote, where it's like it's easier to raise, children than a broken man. Um, you know, I ain't scared of that work. I go talk to the broken men and the like, what I'm saying? I mean, it's easier to instill things in children because they haven't had the time of indoctrination just pressed over them throughout the years, and then life and the illusion of money and bills and just health struggles. So it's like you get to a point where so it's easier to communicate certain, ideas and information to young people. But, as we see, like that ain't the answer either. It's like one of my things, which, it ain't been coined or nothing, but I don't see different generations. Like, nigga, if you alive right now, you in my generation. If you one or you 115, like we in the same generation, because that means at this particular time, we can organize and mobilize. So it's like you my generation. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that, I don't know, Dave. It's like we ain't doing nothing special, man. And it's like I don't even like props and accolades and shit. It's just like, I'm in a community where it's I'm connected to them. So it's just like I'm putting in the work in my community, like I'm putting in the work in myself. Like I try to keep myself healthy and I try to keep myself, aware and alert and you know what I'm saying, and prepared. So it's just like I just view my community the same way I view myself. So it's like I ain't doing like no extra charitable, it's like, nah, nigga, if you alive when I'm alive, I'm trying to help you because I'm gonna need your help. And so it's like the more we understand that shit, I don't give a fuck how old you are. You 4 years old, you 50 years old. It's like I'm gonna try to help you, you know what I'm saying? Unless you show your hand where you trying to hurt me or harm me or something like that. But anything short of that, like I'm here to support anybody who need it and that I can help because I feel like that person is me. Like, you know what I'm saying? When I'm talking to these youngers on the block, I'm talking to me. When I'm talking to their parents, I'm talking to me. When I'm talking to my children, I'm talking to me. When I'm talking to their teachers, I'm talking to me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I appreciate the acknowledgement, Dave, but the only reason we made it official and got incorporated as an official, not matter of fact, well, I seen Ayanna out in our hood working, building in our community, trying to help the young people. And I think that's why she and I got such a great bond and connection because we ain't grew up with each other, but we grew up seeing each other's work and commitment. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I think she probably I can't speak for her, but she feel the same motherfucker way I feel. You know what I'm saying? It's like it ain't really about me. Like I don't need no title or no recognition, man. I need to win. You know what I'm saying? I need for us to not be oppressed. I need for us to understand that the God that we got in each other. And so it's like as long as I got breath, like that's the fuck I'm gonna do. Like I didn't choose it. Like to be honest, I wish I wasn't wired this way. It would be a lot less stressful and a lot more easy going, you know what I'm saying? But it's like I seem to be connected to the struggle and the mistreatment of people around the world. So I feel like like some energy was formed in the universe, like, yeah, nigga, go help, go. Like, all right, I'm here now, nigga, let's go. But thank you for the recognition, Dave.
Yeah, definitely.
But we
Can
all, I
I
mean,
say
to answer
something?
your question, we always working, man. We always trying to better our community, man.
Definitely. Ayanna, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I gotta say this about you, Jason. I bear witness. I bear witness to you, and I see you as a phenomenal connector, and I mean that energetically. I mean that spiritually. I mean that in every way. And what you said about not really caring, it could be 4 or 104. I see that in you. I see that. I've seen you sit at the feet of Mama Januar and Baba Marvin. I see you in your hood. I see you in the arts world. I see you in all of these worlds, and you are the same. You are the same everywhere you go. And it's like your reputation precedes you because you are the real deal, you are a real one, and most importantly, you care on a level that is pretty rare at this particular point in time in our existence. And I feel like you are ancient and you are new, you are old and you are young, and that's why it really makes you no difference where you are and what age range you are moving through, who you're connecting with. You can go anywhere on the planet and stand flat-footed and know that you are going to be respected, not just because you like, oh, I deserve respect, but because you are a conduit. You know what I mean? Like, you show up to move something. You show up to move a spiritual agenda. You show up to, as an integral part of the old and the young. And so that's why, to me, you are very, very dangerous to the quote unquote status quo, because you break every barrier, every single one, because you recognize that they literally don't exist. And so that's why you're so powerful, because you recognize the royalty that exists in the hood, because you are that and you bring that. And it ain't no thing for you to sit, at a Kwanzaa event, you know what I'm saying, versus being in the hood on the corner with the brothers or with the youngins, snatching them up. And you have that quote unquote street credibility. One, because to me, just because you live in the street, or from the streets, from the hood, doesn't mean that you have street credibility. To me, your credibility is because you are a real king, and you have the courage of a real warrior, because that is what you are. That's what you embody. So, I mean, I know you don't like the props and all that, but it has to be said, because you are such an important connector. Where you stand and how you stand at this particular hour, you were divinely planted here at this time, and you had to be here right here at this time, as one thing is dying out and another thing is shifting into existence. Individuals like yourself are so important. And so I see you in every environment, and you are you everywhere you go, and I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Queen. I appreciate you.
Definitely. And that's why I thought it was important, not only to take the time to recognize him, but to recognize you, Jay, but also to have you, here. Like, I've seen that, you too. And, from growing up around you and seeing, like, from a youngin' and seeing it going from, oh, he's just a cool guy to he's a dope artist, to actually seeing the metamorphosis of what you are and what you can be and what you've come to be. You know what I'm saying? It's such a strong, powerful thing, as a Black man, to see that in another Black man, and as a human being to see that in another human being. So it's dope. So yeah, I know, like I said, and like Ayanna's echo, like, I know you don't like the accolades, but you deserve it. And
And you're an amazing artist,
yeah,
artist.
Yeah,
Thank
definitely.
you. I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all making me get a little emotional up in this motherfucker.
All right, pull it together, nigga. No,
yeah. Moving on, nigga.
But that's an awesome segue into this interview with the incomparable Ayanna Gregory. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to have you here and to be able to share energy with you. I want to start by taking it back a little bit. Something that I ask a lot of people that come on. If you remember when you were younger and people would ask you what you wanted to be when you grow up, do you remember what your answer was?
A singer.
A singer. So it's always been in you.
Yeah, the irony is that when I was young, I wanted to sing, but then when I got older, like when I was in high school and college, I didn't think I was I studied something completely different. I had no idea. And for me, it's like you go all the way around the world only to discover you just want to come home. So I got to a point where I got a little older. I said, oh, singing's not important. That's a hobby. That's just something I do on the side. And the universe was like, we trying to show you something right here. We're trying to give you something, but it's too easy. It's too easy. It's like, it's supposed to be hard. Really? It's supposed to be hard? So I had to come back around to it. But initially, yeah, I did. I wanted to sing.
That's dope. That's dope. And so I was gonna ask, you kind of answered with regards to performance. and all the things that you manifest artistically, at what point did you realize that that would be something that you wanted to devote time and focus to, as opposed to, taking a more beaten path and, getting a 9 to 5 and things of that nature?
So I was at Howard University. I went to
HU?
Hampton for a year. HU. I went to Hampton from 89 to 90 for my freshman year. And then I knew I was going to get kicked out of school because all of that, this was right before Nelson Mandela was released from prison, and it's when the first Bush was in office, the first Persian Gulf War. So it was a lot happening. So student activism was really, hot. And the president of Hampton was, very conservative and Republican, and so he didn't like activism at all. So they were expelling students left and right. So I called my mom and dad. I was like, look, I got to get out of Hampton. I need to get to Howard because they just making things happen at Howard. And so I transferred to Howard, and I started to become a part of the student movements there, and it felt right. It felt like a renaissance of the 60s in the early 90s in DC and at Howard. It was just, and hip hop, was like Public Enemy, X-Clan, KR, everybody was just, they were upholding word, sound, power and music movements that were really powerful. So I was like, wow, I think, because I was studying psychology and sociology, and I didn't know what I was going to do with that. But then I started, my first experience singing was through a bullhorn, so I'm singing freedom songs and protest songs, and I'm just accompanying the other activists and stuff. And so I became sort of musical component of the movement at Howard. And then it was a couple years later, still early 90s, there was a brother named Nayasuma, born and raised in DC, master percussionist, and he formed a group called 2000 Black, and it was like a edutainment group. He had a lot of solo artists come together, and we played hip hop, go-go, funk, R&B, world beat, Afro beat. And that was really my introduction to music, because before that I was just singing a cappella. I didn't know how to sing. I'm singing in different keys. I could change my key without having to think about it, because I wasn't singing with music. So because I wasn't musically trained. Once I started performing with 2000 Black, that was really my first tutelage musically, and really understanding like musicianship and what does it mean to, listen to chords and make sure that I'm singing on key within a chord structure and things like that. And so, and even with that, I still kind of thought it was somewhat of a hobby until I started working in the DC public schools, and I was working teaching and counseling. And I remember working at this after school program at Martha's Table down on 14th Street with these teenagers. And, we trying to get them to take their headphones off to pay attention to whatever the lesson is. And I'm like, man, if I could get inside the headphones, we trying to do all this stuff to get their attention, but if I could get inside the headphones, because, it saddened me that the music that they listened to was the music that the adults listened to, which to me was so inappropriate for their mental development. I'm like, there's nothing for kids. There's nothing that the kids can listen to, And so I wrote my first album, Beautiful Flower, with the DC youngins, just the between probably about 13 to 17-year-olds as my backdrop. So I was testing stuff out on them, and they were my inspiration. They were the reason that I wrote those songs. And there's a song that I put on my first album called Warriors Rise, and it's the one and only song I ever recorded with my father. And it just speaks to what I wanted to give them. And the word, I'm trying to think of the song. It's such an old song now, but I'm trying to remember the words. This is a freedom song meant to go around the world, critical time everywhere in the world. Wake up, cause we stand at war. Please ask yourself, what are you living for? So you say you're a no-limit soldier, but you're living off the lies that they told you about what and who you are. You ain't never been a thug, you was born a star. With all the ice and the platinum chains, I guess slavery has a new name. Willie Lynch gets to win again every time we hurt each other for material ends. Baby girl, your body not for show. The money he give can't feed your soul. Don't you know you hold the world in your hands? So change the game, respect yourself, and the world will follow. Warriors rise. I see the fire in your eyes. Take back your life, take back your life. Warriors rise. I see the fire in your eyes. Take back your life, take back your life. I remember that song was inspired by the young people I was working with.
I have a lot of more questions, but I kind of just want you to sing for the rest of the interview. Oh man, and like I said, coming into your music and doing research for the interview, like I said in our email conversations, just hearing your stuff for the first time, I was so blown away by the musicianship, the attention to artistry, and just the prolific nature of the message. You know what I'm saying? Every song felt it had an energy and a focus and a drive to it, and I love that. And different artists. There's some other artistic stuff I'm gonna ask you about later, but I want to stay on my path here. So I have a two-part question for you. Staying in like the early years of your development and your life.
Hold on, Dave.
Oh, okay.
I got questions.
Okay, this is how we. Jay just jumps in there whenever he wants to. Go ahead. And I let him because he's dope enough to do it. Go ahead, sir.
Were there, Ayanna?
Say it again.
How many kids are there in the Gregory family? Mm-hmm.
There are 10 of us, 7 girls and 3 boys.
And y'all all grew up together?
Yep, same mother, same
like
father.
On a farm first?
Man, we had such a crazy upbringing. Yeah, we were all born in Chicago. In 1973, my father moved us. Nope, still to this day, nobody really knows why. From south side of Chicago, I would say moved it from the south side of Chicago to the middle of nowhere, Plymouth, Massachusetts. So we was in the woods on 300 acres. Yeah, he was trying to raise these nature babies, and I can't tell you how strange we were in America growing up. These young Black kids in an all-white area, vegetarians. This was way before vegetarian, even before the word vegan was invented. It was not easy being vegetarian in the 70s. We were like strange creatures to the planet, and it was a wild ride. Dad was like, in some ways, I mean, he was brilliant, but in other ways, he was like a big kid making shit up as he went and be like and experimenting with us. And so it was like you never really knew what was next. You never knew how the rules were going to change. So it was exciting. It was petrifying. It was irritating at times. It was scary. And it was beautiful, I didn't know anything but that, so I didn't know how different it was until I began to go into other households. You know what I'm saying? But like our daily diet was, we knew that the phone lines were tapped, And one of the things, for people who saw my one-woman show, Daughter of the Struggle, they've seen this. But my sisters, they knew that the FBI was tapping the phone line. So they would like make jokes and talk to the FBI directly. Like, like we know y'all listening. So we want to give y'all something to really listen
put
to.
On the show.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to put it on the show. But yeah, it was like, death threats. And, you might have some people calling the house talking about they're going to kill your dad. So we knew the interesting thing, and this is how spiritual my dad was. Like, not only did he know he was, when I say they had a file on my dad like this, it was like they tried to poison him. They tried to so many, and this was overseas too. You're talking about stuff when he was in, Russia and where was it? It was in Russia. It was like, Secret Service in other countries that were showing up as his bodyguards that were like scheduled to poison him and all kinds of things. But it was like the way that it just worked out. I remember one time my mom told me he was, he was beaten up, arrested all the time. And my mom was arrested all the time too. Oftentimes she'd be 8 months pregnant, 9 months pregnant, down in Selma, down in Mississippi, and I remember one time she said there were like 6 cops on Dad. It was like these cop cars that convened to block him from going. They were going to arrest him. And so, they dirty. So not only are they going to arrest you, they're going to beat you up. They're going to take your wallet. They're going to do what, dirty cops do,
Mm-hmm.
And so they, she said she was watching in horror as these cops, it was like 6 cops on them. And she said it looked like something out of a cartoon where you just see like a ball of just a ball, and just dust just flying. And so she was pregnant, it was nothing she could do. And so as the dust settles, she said she saw the cops leaving, getting back in their car, and my father untouched, bending over, picking up his wallet, putting it back in his pocket, and slowly walking to the cop car on his own time and at his own terms to go to jail. And so there were so many moments like that, because she's like, nothing on his body, not a mark, not a scar. His clothes were unruffled. And you just think about the way that the universe protects you. And I really think that that's why, Daddy made an agreement with the creator and the universe a long time ago that said his every waking moment would be given to the movement. And in exchange for that, Daddy left here when he was good and ready. He rode that thing till the wheels fell off. They came for him in every direction possible. And he knew that his work here was going to be long. He knew that it was going to be a long journey, and he knew that he was going to leave when it was just his time to go. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why the money that he made, we never even knew how much money he made until after he was gone. And we looking at books and receipts, and we like, this man made so much money, but he did not live like it because he blew away. And that's that piece we were talking about of just being your own walking currency. It's like when he was doing the Bahamian diet in the 80s, it was like, my brother was showing me the books. It was like just from 1980 to 84 to 85, it was like he grossed $140 million. So he had to have personally walked away with at least 10. Now, if you would have seen the way we was living, we wasn't living like that. We had a big old house, but that joker was falling apart. He did not care. Everything that came in went to the movement. He was not playing. It was not a game. So it was like, no, I'm not. You see these, these ballers and quote unquote shot callers who were like, oh, they got their own plane, or they chartered a plane so that they could, have lunch in Paris for the day. It's like, nigga, no, Daddy was chartering planes, all right. He was chartering planes to go down to, Greenwood, Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, to bring, tons of pounds of food to the people who were being starved because they were being pressed out because the people didn't want them to vote. So that's like, to me, when you talk about shot caller, don't come to me with anything else unless you're talking about that level of sacrifice with your money, And so it's like, I don't know anything else. I don't know. And that's why, honestly, the musical journey for me was not an easy one, because the music industry, I don't know that world, and I don't really want to know that world. And so my peers were like, look, Yana, you got a gift, you got to do X, Y, and Z, you got to get signed, but my spirit, honestly, was, it was like, I feel like it was, I would take 2 steps back, 2 steps forward and 10 steps backwards, because I was like, what's the word? I was what's the word I'm looking for? I can't find my words. But I was basically, I was afraid of what I could become in in that world. And so I would self-sabotage.
Yeah,
I was really self-sabotaging. I went through a lot of serious depression, you know, in my 20s and 30s, because I felt like a failure as a singer. But it really was that my spirit was meant for something different. You know, that I was clear that this music was really about a healing. In any direction I went that veered off from that, universe was like, no, you're gonna pay for that. You know, so you try to fit into any lane other than what is your birthright, then it's not going to work out for you. And so because of that, you know, I felt like, you know, I watched other people grow and soar, and I felt like, damn, look at this person, look at what, and what am I doing? And I haven't put out an album in X amount of years, and I'm not, and it was really just my spirit that was like, no, it's not about the material physical world. That's an illusion. How you are showing up in this moment is the journey, baby girl. That's the journey. So really getting to that point, because that was a heavy lesson for me, and I'm still getting it. But that piece right there, feeling like a failure in my field and feeling like I didn't grow and fit, but I was looking at it, I was using a different measuring system that was foreign to my spirit. And my spirit was like, that ain't the measuring system. That ain't the stick right there. That ain't it. You know, so I know I went all the way around.
Oh no, it's good. It's good. You preaching right now. You preaching right now. We appreciate it. And wow. So so like just but yeah, like we talked about, having that spiritual wherewithal to listen to that and understand, you know, that if you're not you said if you're not pursuing your birthright, that's such a powerful statement. And there's so many people right now, you know, myself being around the music industry, I know Jay being around the music industry, and even with Patrice being around people who pursuing entrepreneurial endeavors and things of that nature, who are going through that depression, that sense of failing, that sense of not understanding their birthright or their truth. What advice, just coming out of that on the other end and being able to flourish in your life beyond that, what advice would you give people going through it right now? What would you say to them?
Wow, I would say be kind to yourself first. I would say be very kind to yourself. Be very gentle with yourself, and ask yourself, if there was no such thing as celebrity, if there was no such thing as likes, if there was no such thing as status, what would you want to do with your art? If literally, because celebrity is an illusion, if none of those things existed, what does your heart say around the why, the what you want to create, and the why? Because that is what's golden. That's the treasure. That's the piece right there. You know what I'm saying? Because we can tweak it to the left or tweak it to the right, because of packaging, because of branding. And I'm very uncomfortable with the word brand, just because of what we went through as Africans enslaved. But just that whole beyond, you know, what does the universe know about a brand? You know what I'm saying? Or care about a brand. And I'm not saying that there's no value in it, but I'm saying there's that, and then there's something beyond that. And so let that be the guide. Even if you have a spiritual message and a powerful message, and you allow it to be packaged and moved in, that's all fine and good. Like Jay said, I don't really care at the end of the day what you do. Like, everybody got to do it in a way that works for them. You ain't got to do it the way I do it or the way I think it makes sense. But what I will say is I pray that how you do it serves your soul and serves your spirit, especially at this hour, because everything is in the process of changing. And so if you married to something the way that it was, you're gonna get you're about to get your feelings hurt when you realize that you were studying something that was fleeting, something that had no intrinsic value. And so for me, it's like, what is truly golden, what will still be standing after this thing called Hollywood falls, after the music, after all of these things that were built on ego falls, what will be standing? So I would say be gentle, be kind to yourself, and really get quiet. You know, be in a space at some point in time of the day where you're not talking and nobody else is. And you can just listen to what's trying to come through you. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
for real. And be okay with being emotional. Be okay with not having figured it out. I want to share this because it just came to me. This was about maybe 2015. My dad was honored by Oprah Winfrey. It was him and like maybe 14 other pioneers. It was called Legends Who Paved the Way. And so they were honoring Dick Gregory and Jesse Jackson and C.T. Vivian. And it was a bunch of the Myrlie Evers, Medgar Evers' wife, and just a lot of the civil rights pioneers, right? And so we're in Santa Barbara on this fabulous resort, and everybody that I have ever met or even thought about meeting in Hollywood and the music industry was there, you know, everyone. And so I'm there and I remember I'm shy. I'm not the kind of person that really likes to share with other people what I do. I'm just kind of like, I'm not good at that, you know? So unless somebody else is there, like, hey, let me introduce you to Ayanna, I'm not gonna do it for myself. But this time my brother, he was like, look, you know, I really need you to, Ava DuVernay is gonna be there. I really want you to talk to her about this. And I need you to talk to Tyler Perry about that. And if you see, you know, Babyface, I want you. And so I was like, that's not really my style. But I felt like, okay, well, maybe I'll reach out to them on behalf of my brother or my sister or whatever, right? And so I attempted to do something that didn't come natural to me. And that was like sell myself. And while I was doing it, I felt like a complete fool. I really did, because it didn't come natural to me the way I was doing it. And I remember that in reaching out to some of these folks, right? I felt in that moment, I kind of diminished my own worth. It wasn't conscious, but it was happening. You know, I was in the presence of somebody else, and it was like in that moment, I absolutely took something away from my own worthiness. I didn't want to do it, but it was happening, right? And I'm like, so that was bothering me. I felt like I just was not comfortable in my own skin in that moment, right? And I've never really been comfortable, you know, times I've traveled with Dad, unless I'm with, you know, folks like Stevie Wonder who are just so real, you know what I mean? He's just a real one, you know, so it's like you just can't help but be yourself around him. But so anyway, it was just like I was like, what is wrong with me? I'm in this environment. I feel uncomfortable. I felt like I didn't even breathe properly the whole day. And so I remember the night was over. I was just feeling drained, and I was in this tight ass dress. I could breathe anyway, right? Trying to keep my stomach in. And Ben Vereen, y'all know Ben Vereen, the actor and singer. Okay, from Roots and, you know, Broadway and stuff. But Ben Vereen, old school actor and singer and performer. He walks up to me and he sees me, right? And he's got this baseball cap on that says spiritual enforcer. And he's walking around barefoot the whole day. Like he is just like vibing to a whole other vibration, right? And so he walks up to me and he says, breathe, daughter. And I'm like, how he know I ain't breathing? What do you know? And so I breathed, right? I was like, ooh. And in that moment, you don't know that you haven't breathed until you breathe. Right. I was like, the whole day I went without really breathing and realized, dang, you just uncomfortable, just pent up. And so then he said, come walk with me. So we walk out of the ballroom, and everybody's, you know, at this point, the main event's over. You know, I'm looking, you know, Magic Johnson and his wife is starting well, not the Cupid Shuffle, the one of them line dances. Everybody, you know, Ellen and everybody's just doing their thing, right? So I leave with Baba Ben, and we walk to another part of the resort where nobody is. I don't know what he says to me, but next thing I know, I am like on the ground crying, and I'm just wailing, and I'm just like, I started singing these freedom songs, and he was just whispering in my ear, and he was like, daughter, this world isn't for you. He said, what you came to bring to the planet, they don't have anything to do with that here. And as he's talking, the more I'm crying, the more, you know, I realized he saw me. And the universe knew that I needed in that moment someone to see me, to help me see me.
See, right.
You know, and so going back around to the question, like, one, surround yourself with people that make you feel good. And when I say that, I don't just mean good like yes men or yes women. I mean people who are good to your spirit. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we attach ourselves to people who we think can take us places, and they may be using us, we using them, because we think, oh, I see their relationship with such and such, but it's not a real authentic relationship. And so at this point in time, I'm like, really let it be your own agenda, because I'll be honest, like even when I went to Dave Chappelle's summer camp in Yellow Springs, and I had people in my ear like, well, make sure you do this when you see Dave, make sure you get this footage and make sure you get da da da. And it really, like, I had to remember, like, and people mean well, even with my relationship with Stevie Wonder back in the day, they're like, well, you got to get a single with Stevie, you got to get it. And it's like, yeah, I just, at this point, I'm just looking for an authentic connection and to be mentored by this giant. And I want to be at least one person that doesn't need anything from him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's just like, I feel like it's important to not move on other people's agenda. You know what I mean? Because other people are thinking in terms of, this is what you need to do, this is what it needs to look like. And if you really want to build, your brand, you gotta, and people mean well, a lot of people mean well. And it may work, and it may be that what they say works for you, but make sure that it works for your spirit first. Like, let that be the litmus test, that it's gotta resonate with your spirit first. And from there, like, absolutely, let it go from there. So those are the things that I would say that I have learned, because I've moved on things that other people have suggested, and I'm like, damn, why did I do that? I wasn't even feeling that for me.
Exactly.
That was not what I was feeling for me. I remember being in a place, this was back in the day when I was first starting, we were at the Lincoln Theater, me and my James McKinney, who's like was at the time my manager and music producer.
Shout out to James.
Music director. Shout out to James. Good brother. And that's when you got real ones, when they still with you like 30 years later. But he, produced all my albums and co-wrote a lot of most of the music. But we were somewhere, and it was like, all these record execs, and you know how they do sometimes. They'd be like, yeah, sing something for me right on the spot. And so I was so young, and so I'm looking at him, I'm looking like, what do I do? And I remember singing something and feeling so empty inside, because I felt like I was on an auction block, but it was a lesson. It was a lesson for us later. It was like, never again will we be sideswiped like that. Because nothing, normally I'm with my dad, and nobody really steps to me when dad is there like that. You know what I mean? Because they don't. And so, but I was like, I felt like, damn, I just felt like it didn't feel right, and so it was like that fast talking, baby, I can do things for you, I can take you places, sing something for me, go, and it just felt so cheap, and it felt demeaning, and so many people are like, willing, and again, it's really no judgment, but I know for me, I'm such a sensitive spirit. I'm a very sensitive spirit, and I'm gonna tell you something. When I was growing up in Plymouth, Massachusetts, my dad he trained us how to run. He was a serious runner. So we would go the Miles Standish was the name of the state forest. It was 2 miles from the house. So we would do a 4-mile run. It would be these mandatory runs, which we hated. But then later I loved it, because I'm like, Daddy taught us to train, and taught me how to listen to my own rhythm, taught me how to listen to God. He was doing all these things without us knowing, but because we had to do it, we didn't want to do it, but we had to go camping on our own land. Like, he was really teaching us things that we were like, do we have to, Dad? But anyway, so we were running to the state forest, and so after he taught us to train us to run, I started running on my own. And so I would run into the state forest, and I would be just surrounded, just in the middle of this amazing, powerful God force in nature, right? And that was right around the same time that I started really getting into Stevie Wonder, and I found all these old records in my parents' in the den, and one of them was Stevie Wonder's Secret Life of Plants. I lost my mind. I was like, because I really, Ayanna means beautiful flower, and I really felt so much kinship with plants. And so I started singing to the trees, and I could feel their presence. I could feel their life force. And, you know, trees, you know, and I was always, quote unquote, weird. I was always a loner, which is weird to have, you know, 9 siblings and still be a loner, but I was. And so I found my home. Like, I was like, this is where, and I always felt like I would probably die in the woods somewhere, you know, but I felt like I was singing all these songs from the Secret Life of Plants album. And I felt like being a star, that I was a star, a cosmic star, and that I wanted to be recognized by Mother Nature as one of their own. And so that's why it was always a conflict, the idea of seeking stardom in the industry, because my spirit was always like, you are nature's star. And so Stevie Wonder's song Black Orchid, when you get a chance, I'm sure you've heard it, but listen to it again, Black Orchid. I felt like Stevie was talking directly to me, and it always reminded me, baby girl, remember, just remember, when all that man has built has fallen down, just remember the star that you actually are, that we all are, you know. And so that's really, you know, taking it all the way back home, all the stuff that I did interact with in the industry to a small extent, because I would sabotage, you know, Dad would get me meetings with Clive Davis and all, and I would find a reason not to make it. Like, but I didn't know why. I didn't know this was happening, because my spirit was like, nope, not this one, nope, not her, nope, not gonna be able to do it, not gonna be able to do it. And so I felt like, again, I felt like I was failing. Like, why, you know, and it's like, no, that's not for you. So again, just to those who are out here doing this, you know, let it feed your soul, and beyond it, make sure that you would do it if you weren't getting paid for it. You know, make sure you would do it just because. And to me, like, I always ask the question when I'm creating art, what is this art serving? Who is it serving, and how? You know, because not everything that I create, you know, sometimes I'm just got to get some shit out that may not be healthy for other people. You know what I mean? It's like, just because you released it don't mean everybody need to hear it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's, I always, just because, and not everybody need to think that way, but I know for me, I'm like, no, I have a responsibility. Like, I want this to have some redeeming quality in whatever it is that I'm putting out, especially now, because people don't give a fuck. You know, it's just like, oh, I'm gonna just put this out. You know, it's like, well, dang, did you have any thought about the possible effect this may have on the babies, that this may have, you know? But again, I'm like, that's not their I have a responsibility. I can't speak for nobody else, but I'm clear that I do, and I accept it. And that's what it is. I accept that.
Yeah. You say you mentioned the time that you were able to spend with Stevie Wonder. Have you ever talked to him about the impact of that album and that song on you? Because I know artists love to hear stuff like that, or
yes,
you know, about
yes,
their work.
yes. I gave him an earful.
Okay.
I surely did. I surely
dope.
did. I have a funny Stevie Wonder story too. Before I even knew, you know, and that's the beautiful thing. When you're a child, you don't care who anybody is. You know, it's like, and so it was at Howard. I don't know what it is now. Maybe a Barnes and Nobles, but it used to be the Howard Inn, and before that, it was the Harambe House, right on Georgia Avenue, right across from the McDonald's on Georgia, right down from Howard. It was called the Harambe House Hotel, and with, you know, Black folks came into town, they stayed at the Harambe House. This was in the 70s. I was probably about 7, and my brother Johansen was like 5. Now, you know, we Dick Gregory's kids, so we can't eat no junk, right? But we try to sneak it anywhere we can. So we're there for this big march. It was like a Native American. It was called The Longest Walk. I remember the actor Marlon Brando was there, and he was in the room. But again, I didn't know who he was. It was Marlon Brando, Stevie Wonder, some other folks, and some Native American brothers and sisters. And they was all holding court with Dad. You know, they was all just breaking some shit down. And so we're just like trying to figure out how we can get this candy on the table without my father looking. And so we were pretty amazed, because we had never seen a blind person before. We had never seen them without their glasses on. So me and my brother, you know, young people, you don't have no good sense. You just looking, you know, and we see like the film over his eyes. And so we're just like, wow, you know, we had never seen a blind person before, never seen their eyes. And so everybody else had walked away except for Stevie. And so we're like, okay, me and my brother looking at each other, and there's a bowl of candy on the table. So we like, okay, this nigga blind. So ain't nobody but him and us right here. We about to get this candy. And so my brother's looking scared because we like, man, what if this fool could say, what if he can really see? What if this is set up? We about to get our ass whooped. What if he really could see? But we were really like, who gonna take the chance? And my brother was like, bump it. So he grabbed the candy. And we stuffed it in our pockets and ate it later. But I was telling about a year ago or so, I was telling Stevie about that. And I was like, yeah, man, so I just want to apologize, And so he just started laughing. And he said he remembered that his memory is amazing. Like he remembered, it had to be like mid-70s or late 70s. And he remembered, obviously he didn't remember the incident because he ain't know nothing about it, but he remembered why we were there. He remembered the Native American, the walk, the longest walk. And he remembered being in the Harambe Hotel at that time and stuff. But I just say that to say, like, that brother, what a real one. What a powerful and beautiful, he has a child's heart. He has a child's heart with all of the people who have come and gone, who I'm sure have taken advantage of him, who have, it's like he's protected, he's just protected by the heavens because he has not been hardened. You know what I mean? Like something about, you can't reach a level of celebrity higher than Stevie Wonder, and some kind of way he recognizes being a cosmic star is more important than that. And so, he was like a kindred soul. And, I feel like he's a kindred soul to all of us. Like Stevie, Stevie's ours, And so, it's a blessing. But he's given me a lot of great advice, and sometimes he'd say, all right, let's write something together, or he would send me he'd send me a track and say, look, this is what I want this to be about. Here's some of the words, what you could do. He's always trying to see like what you got, what you got. And so I'd be like, I remember the first time he had sent for me to come to LA. This was in the early 2000s. I was scared. Oh my God. I was just like, because he was trying to test to see my writing ability. And I remember I was staying in this hotel, and I felt like I was driving myself crazy because it was Stevie Wonder. Nothing I did was good enough for me. I was just like, no, that's not good. It's not. And it really, the universe is like, just relax. Like, relax. He's relaxed. You relax. Just chill, But the experience was beautiful. It was amazing watching him in the studio maneuver as a blind person, but somebody who was able to just maneuver these, the technology and electronics, so much stuff was voice activated. So you'd hear his voice, when he was turning things on or shutting things down, you'd hear his voice shutting down. I'm like, Steve, where'd that come from? And it's like all, his voice was activating all these things. And
wow.
It was powerful. It was just beautiful just to see him in his element, moving around with no walker and just knowing, and how, heightened his other senses are. Just like, dang, he could just hear it. He could hear it, So it's been a blessing to me, even more than the musical advice was just his spiritual being, just that has been more than anything what I've gathered from him was just allowing spirit to guide the way,
That's so dope. And you touched on a little bit of being a kid and not really, understanding who people were or the level or the stature that they held. At what point do you remember? At what point you looked at your dad and realized, oh, he's kind of a big deal, Do you remember at what point it was? Because
it was DC.
Right?
It was Washington DC, and we was this was it the Human Kindness Day? It was some day. It was some big event, down on the mall probably. And I didn't know where I was. Now it's so funny, like living in DC, I was like, oh, this is where we came. This is where I was when I was 7. Oh, that's what, because I didn't know where we were,
Right.
I knew I was around Black folk and I didn't want to go home. I knew that, but can we stay here? But I remember it was DC. I'm like, how old was I? I was young. And I remember I saw this like mob of people running towards us, but I'm thinking they're trying to get to somebody else. I'm like, Daddy, like, move out the way. I don't want to get run over by these people. And I had no clue they were running to him. And so just kind of getting lost in the sauce, trying to hold his hand. And I was like, who are these people and why, what they want with you? You know? And I just, cause at home, you know, in Plymouth, didn't nobody know him. Right. And it was, my mom was very protective. So she kept that world outside, you know, she was very private. So I just didn't know. And I remember one time I was 7 years old and Yoey was 5. And we were in Connecticut at this anti-nuclear power rally. It was like probably about, 50,000 people. And I remember it was my first speaking engagement. I was scared in the bone. So my mother wrote my little cute 7-year-old speech. I was so jealous because my younger brother stole the show at 5. He grabbed the mic. So I go first and there's all these lights, cameras, lights. And I was just like, all these people. And so I say my little, nuclear power is bad and my little cute 7-year-old speech. My brother, 5-year-old brother, grabbed the mic and went to church. This little youngin was talking about, and babies being affected by the chemicals. The crowd went crazy. And I'm looking like, damn it, mama, my speech wasn't good enough, mama. And so I was like, I just remember being so jealous looking at him. It was like literally a star was born. He was such a natural public speaker as a baby. So, but I remember slowly but surely as we began to travel with him and just realizing like, wow, like this is his world. And so, yeah, it was a different world. It was a very different world. And it was interesting moving between different worlds because it's like, in the 1 minute, he's with his close friends in the music world in Hollywood, with Marvin Gaye. He was real good friends with Marvin Gaye and Bob Marley and Stevie and the Jacksons and all of that. So that it was like that world, right? And then, the next minute, we in the ditches, with sharecroppers, couldn't even read or write in Mississippi. And the worlds that he moved, just like Jay's son, the worlds that he moved in, he just was him, you know what I mean? And it was like, he never shifted. And that world was just like, it was a very interesting world because not a lot of celebrities moved between worlds like that. You know what I mean? You had some, and that's why he was so tight with Muhammad Ali because, it was like real new real. And and so they were always together. Muhammad Ali ran across the country with Daddy. Daddy ran from New York to LA. And Muhammad, this footage I never saw before that I just recently saw them like in the as they began to go west in the mountains and just the two of them, just running, because Dad was running to bring attention to world hunger. And so Muhammad Ali would always lend his celebrity to, bring more attention to it. So it would just be, it was like being in these environments with, Michael Jackson and Bob Marley. I remember meeting Bob Marley when I was 6. I didn't know who he was, you know what I mean? I knew it was a hot day and he gave me some watermelon, you know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, I was like, dang, that was Bob. So it was so much that I just didn't even know I was in the midst of. Marvin Gaye used to write letters to my dad. Like when folks used to write letters, you know what I mean? He would always sign his name from the nigga in the valley.
Wow.
Just deep stuff that you can't even. And another thing, like I remember when I saw Layla Hathaway at where was it? At the Howard Theater. She said, and her mom was there selling her merch. And so she said, talk to my mother because she has a story about your dad. And so I had to go and talk to her mom. And she was like, yeah, your father, helped take care of Donnie, So I was like, hey, Donnie Hathaway, Dad worked with Donnie Hathaway. I never knew that, but he was like, Dad was a health guru. So many of the Black celebrities went to him for spiritual and health stuff, you know, because he was fasting and he was, you know, was putting the herbs together, and he was, you know, help folk figure that stuff out. And so she said, yeah, I was the person. Your dad would call me at once a week and lay out the plan for Donnie. And I was like, what? You know, stuff Dad never talked about. And I hear people everywhere I go, I'll hear folk talk about things that he did for them in that way. You know, I mean, he, you know, worked with a lot of the athletes and stuff too. But I say all that to say it's nice traveling and kind of walking in his shoes, walking his path to see the people along the way who had the stories to share. Even about my mom, you know, like I went down to Selma, Alabama, and they're like, oh, your mama was in that jail cell for women right there. She was 8 months pregnant with the twins. I'm like, damn, mama never told us about that. You know, yeah, she went to jail, and we were gonna let her, not we, but they were gonna let her, they were gonna release her from jail the day after she got in, because she was Dick Gregory's wife. But she's like, I ain't leaving until all the sisters get to go. So mommy, 8 months pregnant, stayed in 2 more weeks until all the sisters got to go. And just, you know, all of these stories that as I travel the world and even leaving America and being like, damn, daddy was here. Look at his footprints, you know? And so it's a blessing. Or mommy was here. Look at her footprints. You know, she smuggled in 1969 during the Vietnam War. My mom and dad were in London. And this story, to me, I have to tell it, it's just so powerful. They were in London, and some Asian friends of them gave them some footage of the My Lai massacre, footage of innocent men, women, and children being murdered in South Vietnam by the United States military, by the army soldiers, murdering children, women, innocent people. But you know, that's what they do. So of course the government knew about it, but they were trying to suppress the story. So my father, who had already just survived an assassination attempt, he passes the footage off to my mother, and he goes another way. So my mother flies by herself with this coveted footage of the My Lai massacre. She flies from London to Paris, Paris to Montreal, Montreal to Toronto, Toronto to Chicago. She doesn't eat because she knows her food has been poisoned. 3 men follow her on every flight. Every flight she get on, they get on. Every flight she get on, they get on. And she makes it home. The United States, the government now knows that Dick Gregory's family has brought the footage in. And my father told her, he said, there's a chance you might not make it back. There's a chance you will not make it back. And so you might have to just kiss the children goodbye. This is how committed Daddy was to the movement. Like it was bigger than us. And so my mother said, to this day, she said it was the scariest thing that she's ever done in her life, where she literally thought she was going to die. And just to see them following her everywhere she went, they followed. And so when she got home, her children didn't know. I wasn't born yet, but the older sisters, they didn't know. All they knew was that mommy made it home on Monday for Michelle's dance recital. That's why I call mommy a superhero. That's why I call mommy a superhero, because I'm like, mommy, you literally helped in the trajectory of where that war was going and how much longer. The My Lai massacre, the exposure of it was one of the things that helped to end the war. Now, the U.S. government was forced to break the story because they didn't want it to be known that this Black man's wife brought it into the country. So they had to break it when she brought it in. And I'm like, Mama, literally, you think about the power of Black women and the quiet strength that she ain't even want nobody to know. You're not gonna find that in the history books. Yeah, I'm like, that piece right there, you know, is why I do what I do. This woman is still standing at 83 years old. You know what I mean? She kept that man alive. My father said she's not just Dick Gregory's wife, she is Dick Gregory. She kept him alive. You know what I mean? That black woman's strength and love that kept all the foolishness on the outside and was like, I got you. I got you. I got you.
So, and that's interesting that you said that about it not being in the history book. So now, of course, researching the story, I was looking for things, and there's only a few things about your mom out there. Like it said that she had 10 children and she raised them in the midst of being a huge integral part of the civil rights struggle. But that's all it really said. So I was gonna, and you kind of already. I love it when we have people that talk and go off for the tangents, because you make it so easy for me, because there's a couple of questions, that you already answered. I was gonna ask you about your mom. And about your, what you saw of her. There's so many women of the struggle that, like you said, had that quiet presence and that quiet strength. From the Betty Shabazz to the Coretta Scott Kings to your mom. And so I was going to ask you, what is it? What about your mom would you like people to know or realize or understand about her? Today.
And she's a real one.
Mm.
And she's a real one.
As simple as that. Yeah.
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 And she and that there's something to be said about a strength that does not need to announce itself.
Mm.
And that's what I'm learning from her, because I can say, I'm ashamed to say, I did not see her strength when I was younger in the way that it actually exists. I saw my father as the one, and I saw her as like, I saw her as like, in my mind, surrendering to everything he said and did. And in my mind, there was a part of me that felt like, not that I didn't see her as strong, but I think I was looking through a lens that didn't understand how powerful she was and how she was helping to navigate his journey without him even being aware of it. And you hear elder mamas talk about that, but I didn't know that as a child. So I wasn't aware ways in which she got him to do things, and she had to say a word. I was like, okay, mama. Until I got older, I was like, okay. I get it. And I feel like I have a lot to learn in that way. I still have so much to learn from her in that way. And like daddy, she gives it away. She gives it away. She, whatever she has, her wealth, her love, she shares it. She gives it away. She doesn't hoard anything. And because she doesn't hoard it, there's always more coming, and that's how daddy lived too. Always. And she could never be bought, and daddy could never be bought. There were times literally where there would be, my mom and dad would be in the airport, headed out the country or headed somewhere, and agents would drop money, bags of money, big money, especially for like in the 60s and the 70s, they may drop like $50,000 in the 60s. And daddy knowing like there's strings attached, leave that money. Not too many people was leaving the money.
Right.
They left the money.
Wow.
They left the money.
Wow.
Like, take the money, boo-boo.
Wow.
So mama, she just didn't, she didn't care. She just didn't, it was all good. She was committed. She was committed. And there's a song about her that I wrote called Mama, This One's For You. I'm just like, man, I thought my mom was magic as a little girl, and I believe she is. I'm like, how is she able to do all of this for? Because there's 10 of us, yo. Like, I got friends who losing it with 2 kids. I'm like, 10. She gave birth to 11 children. 1 baby died, and about maybe several months in, and so the 10 remaining that she raised, I'm just like, whoa. So there's a song that I wrote. I'm gonna just sing a little bit of it. 10 babies that she raised, and they wonder why she had to be at 10 places at the same time. You can't tell me that this here woman can't fly. Soccer games, track meets, dance lessons, staying up late with me when I was sick or stressing. Let's be clear, she's the reason why I'm here, yeah. Mama, this one's for you, so you could see you from my view. A woman so beautiful, a love indescribable. Mama, this one's for you. Mama, so beautiful. Without you, what would I do, yeah. Mama, this one's for you. She's the rock, the power source they didn't see. She didn't want the credit, so she passed it down to me. But deep down, she's the root holding up this tree. free. And she don't talk about what she been through. And she don't brag about all the things she do. But you can see the light in her eyes. She talks soft, but got a heart that goes from here to the sky. Mama, this one's for you, so you could see you from my view. A woman so beautiful, a love indescribable. Mama, this one's for you. Mama, so beautiful. Without you, what would I do? Yeah. Mama, this one's for you. That's for you, Mama.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And so it's so prolific and so poignant, just like understanding that all of these civil rights, you know, these people who pioneered the struggle and things, it would have been no them if it wasn't for the women that stood beside and behind them and held them up. Like you said, the roots to that tree, that's such a powerful line, because, you know, they hold us up, you know, and it's such a blessing. My goodness, this is such a powerful, interesting interview. So sometime when we have people of your stature on, we like to go a little over. It is 12:35 now. I'm gonna go as long as you can go. I don't want to, you know, if you have something, you know, if you have other engagements or anything, I'm free for that. But we just gonna keep going if it's okay with you.
Sure.
Okay, great. Before I jump back into the interview, Jay, Patrice, y'all got any questions?
Well, I can't stay too much longer. I got the kids in there.
Understood.
Oh, Daddy.
Yeah, but okay.
I just want to say something real quick. It's gonna be short. It's so much you said, Ayanna, that spoke to me, but the piece that you talked about, even in relation to branding and how that doesn't sit with your spirit, because it, you know, in relation to our ancestors, you know, the space that I'm in right now, and I don't want to get, you know, the interview is about you, not me, but
talk about it.
I've been feeling like that. I literally am almost in tears as I'm not in this, like, everything that we're going through now with the digital thing. I haven't moved on my, you know, business because I just don't feel right. I can't explain it. I don't feel right. I don't feel right going into digital. That's not why I do this, and it's not how I want to do it. I want you talked about making connections, and I think in this space, the biggest thing that I've learned about myself, but just, I guess, us as beings all together, is the importance of connection, not contact, right? We're not, I don't need to make contacts with, you spoke about celebrities being an illusion, and I've always believed that, because I have no idea who people are. People say, you know this person. I have no idea, because I believe in the power of connection. It's so, it's so much bigger than, just, who and how you move, and, in your case, in music. But for me, in fitness or in business, I don't care about working with the latest and greatest of, the branding professional and the marketing professional. I've never moved like that. And so for me to be in this space where I have to come out of this 9-month sabbatical, if you will, if you want to call it that, and how to move, it's just, nothing has felt right until right now, when you talked about your space that you were in and how you decided to move with your spirit instead of being in that room and moving with people and human beings.
Yeah.
So I just, just thank you for that. I don't want to go over too much because I know Jay got to go, but I love.
Well, let me check in with him. I should be all right. Hold on.
Okay. I love your energy. Like I love your energy. I love your energy, all of the experiences. Thank you for sharing those with us.
Thank you, sis.
I'm like, you know how you emit heat when you're like, when your eyes opening. We talked about talked about sight earlier with Stevie Wonder, and I always tell my son, you don't need these two things to see.
That's right. Come on.
It's deeper. It's so much deeper. I don't need these to see. So I go by how I feel, especially with what's going on now in the universe. We have to be conscious of every single move that we make. This is a this is a cleansing and a clearing of sorts. And so I'm really honed in on that. And so what you said spoke to me, like, you know, if it doesn't feel right, don't do it.
Absolutely.
If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. If it doesn't sit with your spirit, if your spirit doesn't say, you know, this is how you should move, that even in business, because when you don't move a certain way in business, people think, oh, well, you're not hustling and you're not grinding and you're not. No, I am being still. Peace be still for me. That's so you spoke to me with that. So I just, you know, thank you so much. I don't even know what to say, but hopefully you feel my energy through here.
Definitely. Oh man, this is just echoing that, man. This has been an amazing discussion and interview. I hope not. You still
Sorry,
with us?
can y'all still? Yeah, I was trying to move away from the noise because what you were saying, sis, is so powerful.
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes, you're back with us. We had lost you for a moment there.
With you, sis.
Okay, yeah, we had lost you for a moment.
What you shared is so powerful. I just want to say to you that your energy is beautiful. It's evident to me that you are a natural healer. And so you're naturally going to be more sensitive than most, and honor that, because this is our time. This is for the true spiritual warriors and healers. This is our time. Like this is literally why we were born, for right now. Literally, the reason we were born was for this moment right here. So you right on.
Yeah, we losing you a little bit, Ayanna. You breaking up.
Your signal different now.
Yeah.
Okay, let me move. Hold on a second.
Okay.
I think the noise is gone outside. I'm gonna go back outside. Hold on.
Okay. But yeah, man, that's so wow. This has been such a powerful discussion. My goodness, just like the wealth of information and
I told
energy.
You, Dave.
You was right. I gotta give it to you. You're rarely wrong though. I haven't you know, I give it to you. You know, one of the reasons that I, you know, look up to you so much is because I haven't seen you be wrong a lot of times. Right. It's like I've seen you be wrong maybe once, but I don't know. I don't even remember.
My bad.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, we got you now. We got you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, sis, follow that spirit. Like I said, you are a natural healer, and this is the time for the spirit warriors and healers to exist. And everything, all this money conversation, all it's like it literally, I'm watching it, the beginnings of it, but it's going to be even more intensely where the only thing we're going to be able to do with the dead presidents is make a fire with it. You know what I'm saying? Like for real. And so it's like it's the energetic. What frequency are you on, and what frequency are you on, and what are you drawing to you? And so where you're at, and as we speak on this, as the solar eclipse and the new moon just moved into Sagittarius, like this is the clearing. Everything else is going to be taken care of. Things unimaginable, things that we've always wanted, but always seemed far away, far in reach, are like here now. So it's time to really call it into existence. The reason that you haven't felt comfortable with the digital piece is because your spirit is like, I got something else. Wait on it. You know what I'm saying? Like it don't feel right because it ain't right for you. That's why. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing if you're running from something that's good for you. There's a difference between something you're running from that's healthy for you and something that's like, my spirit is like, nah, shit, that ain't it. That ain't it. So follow that, like, and it's like you said, there are times it can be scary because you're like, well, dang, but if I don't do that, then what is that going to mean? I got to eat. You know what I'm saying? So I understand that it's very real. And at the same time, know that the most amazing possibilities are now becoming real, tangible, real things. So call on it, break through whatever barriers or whatever you didn't think was possible before. Break through that now and know that now is that time to just open it up, open it all the way up and say, you know what I mean? If I knew it would be impossible to fail, what am I doing now?
Right. Thank you so much.
Doing some work out here.
Oh, no problem. It's all right. So, but you can hear us okay though?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah, we can hear you fine. Go ahead, Patrice. I'm sorry, you were.
I'm just saying thank you. This is beyond powerful. You know, you talked about, you know, you mentioned earlier in the interview that you seemed weird, or you seemed to other people you seemed weird, or it was another word you used. And I always say, you know, I'm weird or I'm nerdy, like to give people a precursor to what I'm about to say. And honestly, like that in this space right now, I'm like, fuck that. Like I'm not weird. I'm not weird.
Come through, sis. Come on, sis.
I'm not crazy.
Come on.
I know what I'm talking about.
Come on.
And I know
Speak
what
on
I'm
it.
talking about because my spirit told me, and this is way left, but I'm gonna go ahead and share it here. I've been having these dreams. Like we're in this space where, and I even told my son, because my son told me he had a dream. I said, son, we're in a space right now where literally anything is possible. Anything. And this is a whole nother conversation, and I won't take it there, but you know, and I said to him, I said, is your dream reality, or is this reality?
Come on.
You know, is your dream reality, and this, or we live in a dream?
Exactly.
Like, in a matrix, like
That's right.
So many possibilities that could happen. It's
so
many
many
things that can happen right now. So I'm way tuned in. I'm way tuned in, and I'm trying not really hard not to let worldly things as it relates to business and currency and the need to exist and eat and have shelter interrupt that connection or that frequency. So it's tough sometimes, but
I understand.
But you know, I think manifesting is key, and calling everything that you want in your space in your life, calling it and speaking it and feeling it and vibrating with it. So that's it. But thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, sis. What you just shared is so powerful. You know, we need to hear this to know, like, I'm not crazy. This is, you know, this is it's a synergy that's happening right now. And so me listening to y'all, and y'all listening to me, it is confirmation that this synergized moment is more than just something that's in our head. It's bigger. It's real.
It's important too, because I mean, I've never shared this with you, Ayanna, but there have been certain times you randomly text me just out the blue, and just like, I see you, and it means so much. It's like I can't even describe, because you know, very similar to what Patrice has talked about and what you expressed. You feel like you're alone in your thoughts and how you see the world and how you approach life, and you know, people consider you, you know, crazy or weird or whatever. And I received a text from you like, I see you. And I, you know, and it'd be like the timing. It'd be the time. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
It'd be the timing of what I be experiencing. You know, just the timing, how you know that, like, oh, that's a supernatural, universal connection, because it'd be the timing, like, wow, I got this right now, when you're feeling at your low, at your, you know, when you questioning yourself and questioning what you're doing, for somebody to be like, yo, I see. And I remember one time I cried, because you was like, I can't remember the exact wording, but it was like, it was something to the effect of like, that I reminded you of your dad.
Yes.
And I was just like, oh. You know what I was like, oh man, because it'd be it'd be the specific timing of the things though. So it's not, I mean, the words and the encouragement and the recognition are, you know, great and appreciated and received, but it'd be the timing, and it let me know like, oh, it's even bigger than her. Like, it may not even necessarily be her expressing that,
right,
because of the timing of it. It was like, yo, like, he's saying this now, like, thank God, like literally, you know what I'm saying? So
amazing. I'm so glad you shared that, Jay. I never knew that.
Yeah, I mean, because
Wow.
that's something I would be scared to express. I'm like, she gonna think I'm a nutcase if I tell her. Like,
but can I just let me just ask? So just knowing that, just like Ben Vereen was that conduit for you at that moment when you felt like that and needed it, you're circling that energy, you're cycling that energy back to somebody that you see and hold as reverend as a Jay's son. How dope is that feeling?
That's dope.
That'd be amazing.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
That makes me so happy. That makes me smile.
Wow. Yeah.
Man, thank you. I'm so glad you shared that, Jay. That's because the times that it happened, I didn't know why. So clearly I was being used.
Right, that's the point. Because I was like, we like whenever we see each other, we know what it is. Like, we don't really have to talk. We don't have to be around each other. We just kind of always know what it is.
We know.
And so, like you mentioned, like the timing of it, it'd be like, yo, like that's bigger than both of us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I love it.
Yeah.
And to your point, when you were talking about, because I remember when you were at the Oprah joint, and I remember that time because I remember you went and talking about the experience and all of that, and being around like stars or whatever, right? And so just recently, I've been very ill.
Hold on, Jay. Let's give it a second.
And I remember I was like doing different prayers or whatever. Nothing was really working. But then eventually, I started rapping the lyrics to my own song. And something started happening immediately, like no time left, like immediately. So I was like, oh, like I do music like for this type of work. Like, basically, a lot of time as artists, you're trying to get people to buy in or to listen to you or to, but when I was going through that ordeal and like the prayers didn't seem to be working, I just started spitting these bars from a song that I wrote. And I was like, oh, like this is like the universe or the ancestors, like Grammys. Like, oh, nigga, you finally got, like, why the fuck you been doing this your whole life? Like, this is why. Because you are in a position where you feel you losing your life and you needed stimulation and, assurance. And the traditional prayers that you've used all your life wasn't working.
Right.
And so it's like, we're going to show you why you've been doing music for 30 years. This exact second, this exact minute is why you create art. I was like, oh shit. So when you were saying that about just not feeling like yourself in the company of these quote unquote stars and you being your own star, I kind of came into that realization myself, like, oh, like I'm not really creating art for other people's like entertainment per se. Right, I was like, this is grounded in something that we need, for our existence. So yeah, and so I felt that energy when you were speaking about, being, questioning yourself and yourself as an artist and all of that. So yeah, man, this whole interview is ridiculously dope.
Nice.
Yeah, man, it's so powerful.
Are we lost? Is she gone?
Well, no, I think she's still there. It's just the noise they doing construction over there.
Yeah,
I think whenever we get into the real stuff, it's always something trying to hold us down.
I know, right?
So,
I know, y'all lost me for a
minute. I think we just lost her for a second. Hopefully she'll come back in. But my goodness, but this has been such a powerful thing. And it's always the best ones. I don't get to half the questions. I had like 30 questions lined up.
It's already about to be 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's probably time and out.
I think the universe was saying Right. The universe was like, nah, that's a, that was the universe working on stuff back then.
Right.
That was the construction is doing in all of our lives, man. But yeah, that sentiment has been something. It's so interesting that she shared that. It was something that we all were talking about before we got on about this time of metamorphosis in our lives and understanding our purpose and things of that nature. Everybody goes through that, man. And I'll just say for everybody watching, don't fear it, man. Go into it headstrong. It can be a scary time, and that's natural, but go into it grounded in yourself and grounded in your place in the universe. And if you don't understand that, take time to figure out what that is, and it'll give you so much more structure and focus and drive as you go through what you're going through, man. This has been so therapeutic and just helpful. And I see Ayanna's coming back on. Are you with us? Okay, she's working on getting back connected. But
They
yeah,
probably, when she get back on, you probably wrap it up.
yeah, that's how I was, yeah, because it seemed like the universe is telling us, all right, you shared enough stuff. But yeah, okay, here we go.
Can I just say something real quick?
Sure.
I just wanted to thank y'all. I'm super grateful for this moment. So I just want to say thank you. I needed to hear Ayanna, and I needed to have this energy right at this moment. So just thank you. I'm always grateful for you guys.
Likewise.
Definitely. Thank you. And understand that your power is so much more than this moment. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so further beyond what you're going through. And sometimes it's hard to see beyond the obstacles right in front of us. But there's so much more that you're here to do and that you will do, and so many lives that you have and will continue to change. So yeah, man, just stay in it, keep grinding, man. Yeah, you got such a strong family, and we always got you back. So just keep grinding.
Yeah, I
And
appreciate you.
definitely. I say that with the utmost respect and love and reverence for who you are beyond, what people see, for the energy that you are. You know what I'm saying? It's beautiful and it's bright, and keep doing it. You and Jason, man. I appreciate both of y'all, man. That same way.
Likewise, brother. Appreciate you too, man.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, man, it's looking like we're gonna to wrap it up. Let's see if
I see a
Ayanna, you
picture
back?
there, but I don't see her.
She's smiling at us. Hi. No.
Thank you, Ayanna.
Thank you so much, man. This has been such a dope interview. I'll edit it in a way where people won't know that you dropped out. I'll try to. but yeah, that's it's indicative of, like I said, the universe saying it's time to wrap it up. So in that vein, this has been another episode of the Neighborish Livecast. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us today. A million special thanks to the amazing Ayanna Gregory. We have to get her back to talk about the rest of these 26 questions that I had for her. I get to ask next time. On behalf of myself, DC's native son, Jason, and Fruitfit, Patrice Jones, thank you guys for rocking with us. Take care of yourselves and each other. Live in your energy and enjoy it. Peace, love, and yeah, y'all have a great week.
Peace.
Right.
Thank you.